Good evening, everyone, on this Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, or early Tuesday morning, depending where you are. So this is Coffee with Alumni series continued, and it's truly a pleasure to be with all of you tonight. And it's really my pleasure to have my guest tonight, and that is our alumna from 2008. Sanita DeCellis, or Nan, as we called her at LCC, and that's the name, I guess, by which many of you know Nan. So, Nan, hi and welcome, and thank you, first of all, so much for agreeing to be our guest, and share about your experiences during your studies at LCC and after LCC. And just a quick reminder to our audience on Facebook or on Zoom, if at any point you have questions for Nan, feel free to ask those questions. I'll be monitoring the flow and we'll be more than happy to read those questions out to Nan. But as always, the goal of our Coffee with Alumni series is to reconnect with our alums from different countries. In our 30th anniversary year, we made the commitment that we'll try to connect with 30 alumni from 30 different countries. And today, Nan is actually representing a very unique country of Thailand. And she was the first student from Thailand who came to LCC. And up until this very moment, she still is the only student and the only alum from Thailand. But as I told Nan before beginning of this webinar, she will be losing that title in January because we do have a new student coming from Thailand. So that is very exciting that now this legacy is continuing by someone else, and then there'll be more alums from Thailand. So Nan, welcome again. And then let me just give the floor to you where you can briefly talk about your life after graduation, what you have done after graduation, right? So you came to LCC in 2004, right?
Yeah.
And then you graduated in 2008, and you were an English major. So tell us all, what did you do after graduation?
Yeah, so it's been a long time. It's been what, 14 years now? Wait, am I counting right? My math is really bad. That's why I'm English major. Yeah, so right after LCC, I got my first job was actually a teaching job. And then I did that for a really short time. And then I went and else. And then after a period of time of doing something else apart from teaching, I went back to teaching, and I've been at the same school that I'm teaching for. I've been at this school since 2012. So this is gonna be my 9th, going to 10th year at this school. And yeah, so far it's been really great. I will share more about my journey on my presentation. Yeah.
Right. So I think you're one of the few students, I mean, all the alumni that we had talked up to this point, they have truly been moving from one job to another until kind of in search, of their true calling and true career, or building up the skills. Yet what you are saying, you graduated with an English major. Well, and maybe this is where you knew your heart was in teaching, and that's where you dived in right after graduation. So the theme for this webinar, as you had chosen, was to finding the passion in my career. So I think this is truly inspiring for our audience, and especially for our current students, fresh graduates, who are trying to figure out what to do and how to find that one and only, if that works out, job for them. So Actually, maybe then let's go to the presentation that you prepared in sharing your passion and your path to your, to your success in finding the right career for you, and then we can take on further questions.
Okay, we can do that. All right, so let me just share my screen. Okay. Do you see this?
Yes, we can see it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to talk about this because my journey of finding what my passion is took a really long time. And I just think like for the students who are currently studying at LCC or like maybe some others who are still like looking for their passion, maybe like what I'm sharing today can encourage them or like give them directions of how to get to your passion plus career like easier and maybe faster. So to start out my journey, I have to start talking before, oh, sorry. I want to share you guys what I'm doing right now. So right now I'm a middle school special ed teacher, and the school that I'm working at is called International Community School. And we have two locations, one in Bangkok and the other locations that just opened up 2 years ago, and it's in the northeastern of Thailand. So this is my classroom. We have 6 students this year, 2.5 teachers. I'm one of the teachers, and we have a TA that working with us part-time. Yeah, so my students is also very international. Like they're from Thailand, they're from India, from Canada. Yeah, and so we all kind of share very international experiences with each other. And actually the school that I'm working at right now, it's very similar to LCC. It is a Christian school, a very small school, very community oriented, American. So yeah, I feel like being in this school that I'm working at, it reminds me a lot of the LCC experiences that I had back in college. So I'm really grateful and I feel really blessed. Yeah, so my journey started off before LCC, right? So I never actually interested in teaching.
Here we go. Now we learn.
And I came from a family of educators. So my grandpa was a teacher and then he became a principal. My mom was and still is a teacher. She's a part-time teacher right now. My grandma also worked in school and taught English language at school. So they were the ones. I remember before going to college, my mom told me don't become a teacher. She told me don't take that path. And I think it's because like for her and her experiences, teachers in Thailand, they work really hard. Like they work extra hours, long hours, but only for like little pay. And she was just like, yeah, don't do that. Like money's not good, works too much. And so before going to LCC, I had kind of like a gap year where I told my parents, I'm gonna like try to work and try to save some money so I can go study abroad. So I actually ended up working as a receptionist and a secretary because the high school that I did, it was a 3-year secretarial school. So I was like, oh, I have experiences, I can do secretarial work. And so that's what I did before going to LCC. But then when I went to LCC, I chose English major. And I actually, when I went to LCC, when I first deciding what should I be studying, I was like, I really wanted to become a Bible translator. That was like my ideal job. I want to like go live in the forest and translate a new language. That's what I really wanted to do. But I remember taking the first introduction to linguistics course with Thor, and I was like, this is really not for me. He helped me to realize that linguistics sounds like a fun thing, but it's not easy. Like for me, that was not easy. So I was like, okay, I'll do English major, and then let's choose the focus on teaching English. And I did the practicum for a year, and I still wasn't sure if I liked it. Although like I enjoyed like being in the classroom, but it was just the practicum. So I felt like I didn't have a lot of experiences. Yes, I enjoyed teaching the classroom full of students, but I didn't know what I wanted. And also in the summer of going into my senior year at LCC, I had an opportunity to volunteer at a camp. And this camp was called Tuesi Ipetingkas. And it was a camp with people with disabilities. And I, like looking back, I feel like God really put a seed in my heart. He planted a seed in my heart. I really, really like that camp, and I really, really like the exposure that I have with people with disabilities. Yeah, but then I still didn't really know what I wanted. I did a lot of volunteering during my time at LCC. And I also worked with CMAP. So a part of me really wanted to do non-profit organization work, to like help people who need their voices to be heard. I wanted to do like those kind of things. But after LCC, I just ended up started my first year of teaching at this school. And it happened to be a school with students with disabilities. And I started working. So I graduated in May, and I came back to Thailand, and I got a job in like beginning of August. And I started working in that year in September. But I didn't really feel passionate. I like the job. I like going to see my students in the morning. I like that the school ends really fast. Like I finish working at 3:30. I enjoyed those things, but I didn't really sure if that was for me. So even though yeah, I did what I did, I still didn't feel it was the right thing for me. So I ended up going back to the secretary work, and I want to call this like my exodus period, because it's like going through an interesting path. So I ended up working as an admin officer and a secretary. And I did that for a couple of years. But to be honest, like I didn't really enjoy being around adults, and I don't know why. I feel like I was like every day I go to work. I mean, every day I went to work and I would experience like dramatic situations like all the time, like on a daily basis. And so I was like, I really don't want to be around working with adults because it's like too much dramas at work. And so I didn't really know what's next back then, but I knew I really wanted to be back in the school environment, because you know you get a lot of holidays and you get like short working hours. I mean, not short because you start really early, but just those like environment thing, like being with children versus being with adults, I really miss those things. So I started looking for jobs that would lead me into back into that path of the school field. So I sent out a lot of applications during my Exodus time. And eventually I got a response and I got a job. First, I started working at this school, the current school that I'm working at. I started working as a teacher's assistant because I felt like I didn't really, you know, I felt like I wasn't good enough to be a teacher back then. So that's why I decided to start as a teaching assistant. And when the positions of that school opened up, they actually have an assistant for elementary program and an assistant for the life skills program, so students with disabilities. And I remember the principal back then, he asked me, since you have experiences in teaching, where do you want to work? And I said, oh, maybe I want to work with students with disabilities because I mean, I was familiar with them and I had experiences with them. So I told that to my principal and he offered me that job to work in a classroom with students with disabilities. So these students, they were actually my first 3 students that I worked with. I had a student with autism. She was nonverbal, very energetic, very loud, very expressive, just not with words, with a lot of sounds. And then I had a student with Down syndrome. She was really sweet, but very stubborn. But yeah, just very social. And I just kind of started falling in love with the things that are happening around my classroom. And the colleague that I worked with, the teacher that I worked with, was really encouraging and allow me to grow as a TA. Like in any type of professional development that I could grow, they would send me to do short classes. And also at my school, they also have like a professional development for teachers, kind of like if you want to continue with the degree, they would pay for your degree. And so I decided to start my master's degree during the time when I was working, and I decided to do it in special education. I started my classes through Messiah College, and it was online. And yeah, I did that. And once I graduated from Messiah with the degree in special ed, they had a new position open. And so I applied, and that's how I became a life skills teacher, like a special ed teacher. So I started working as a full-time teacher in 2018. Yeah, but anyway, like the experiences that I had, the opportunities that I was offered, yeah, all of those combined, like I think it really helped me to become who I am today. And like I know that a lot of people, they go to work and they go through their life and they don't really enjoy what they're doing. And I mean, I've seen that with the people in my family. I've seen that with friends, you know, they just go to work and then they come back home and then they kind of like, oh, I want to change my job because it's not good. Things are not great. But thankfully, like I found what I really love doing through working with these students. And I think this is where I'm gonna continue going forward. And I wanna eventually, like in the future, I wanna continue to be the voice for these students with disabilities, because the students in my program at my school, they're very fortunate because they come from wealthy families who can afford this type of education. But in the future, I do want to extend my skills into helping students who are less fortunate, like students with disabilities who are less fortunate, and maybe like help to be their voice. Yeah, and just keep improving the program that we have in Thailand to, you know, better fit for them. Yeah. So I just like want to talk about how I found my passion. And when we talk about passion, it's really a word that we don't really use it often. And when I actually think about it, when I started working in the very beginning, I didn't really understand why do you need passion at work. But actually passion is what keeps you going, keeps you from burning out, and gives you joy in the everyday tasks that you do. I'm really thankful that every morning I wake up, I feel excited to go to school. Like I feel excited to see my students in the morning. And when during the breaks, when I don't see them for like 3 weeks or like 2 months, I really miss them. And I just like can't wait to go back to work. So I think that's the passion I'm talking about, like things that keeps you going, things that like give you motivation. So if we look at the dictionary, is, you know, the intense or the driving or the overmaster feeling or conviction, or it can be a strong liking or desire for devotion to some activity, object, or concept. Passion for me is what keeps me wanting to wake up and keeps making me wanting to go to school and work every day. That's my passion with my students. And my passion is also like wanting to see them succeed, you know, like my students, they all have different abilities, and I just want to see them, like I want to help them and I want to see them being the best they can be, the way God created them. Yeah, so I was just looking through like articles to like help me put these in words. So I found this article written by Sunu Philip, and he talked about the 6 indicators to identify your passion and purpose in God. And I just want to talk about 3 of them that I think anybody can relate to. I think to know what your passion in life is, I think you really need to ask the first 3 questions, which is, what is the one subject that you always enjoy talking about, and you can talk about this topic for hours, and what stirs your heart and what makes you feel alive doing, right? And the third question is like, what activity makes you lose track of time when you do them? So if you can answer these questions and like maybe have some ideas in your mind of the things that you really like, then I think it could in a way help guide you to develop your passion and what you really like doing. And I also found another article, and this one is from Kathy Caprino, and she talks about the 3 steps to become, to build a happier career. And she talks about getting to know yourself, and it confirms, you know, the indicators that I just mentioned. It confirms, it says that like you need to ask yourself, what is it that draws you into? What do you read a lot about? What do you watch a lot about? What do you listen to a lot about? And yeah, what do you follow? What kind of things? And so it's really important that you know who you are and what goes on in your heart, so that you can find out what your passion really is, right? And the second step is that you have to stop looking for a destiny and start small steps. So a lot of people say, oh, I want to become the next Kobe Bryant, right? But then they just kind of like watch basketball games at home. And that's not gonna help you find your passion in life. But what you can do is that instead of hoping for the destiny to come to you, start taking small steps. Like, what are some new things that you haven't tried and you want to try? And start doing that. Maybe it's, you know, a new skill, maybe joining a dance class, maybe is starting to, you know, get into some activities that you've never tried before and start with the small steps. And the last step she talked about was strengthen yourself. So you need to say yes to the things that makes you happy and say no to the things that waste your time. So there are things in life that you do and you really enjoy them and you want to keep doing. And there are things that are sometimes toxic and they just waste the good time that you should be doing the things that you like. So saying yes to the things that you like more and saying no to the things that are not necessary or wasting your time. So yeah, I hope that helps. And then I just want to leave with a verse that I really like, and it really like thinking back, it really applies to the journey that I've had through my career, right? So remembering how God like planted a seed in my heart by allowing me to have exposure to people with disabilities through the camp back in Lithuania. And then through that, he step by step led me through the path that I'm taking today. And it says, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. So that really speaks to me because I know that he had began the good work in me, and he will continue to do it until the day he comes. Yeah.
Thank you, Nan. This is actually, I mean, first of all, it is so exciting. I mean, it's so good to hear the passion through you. I mean, how truly, like, I mean, when you share about your work, I mean, it's impossible to not sense your passion for your work, for your kids, for your career. I mean, the whole presentation, you were the perfect teacher in the whole thing. But sharing your passion, and I truly didn't know like the whole pathway. As you were saying, you know, here's I thought, well, you came in, you went in for English major, knowing that this will be the career, and actually, as you were sharing, you are just like other LCC alums, right? Trying different things, figuring out like what will be the most meaningful job for you, and finding your role where you can contribute, and hearing your passion, you know, in contributing to the kids that have special needs, and that this is where your heart opened up, and that this is where you find meaning.
Yeah.
That is amazing to hear, and thank you for sharing your whole journey in discovering your passion, but also empowering others to reflect on the things they do, and what brings us all the joy in every day, and you know, what are the things that, as you say, we constantly chat about. So that was just a good reflection for me. I'm like, okay, well, no wonder I always talk about LCC. So I'm still here working and being passionate about, you know, the things this institution does, and the results that are out there, and of course all of the alumni and your success stories speak to the to the meaning that LCC brings in through the education that students can get here. So thanks again. But actually, I do want to reflect a bit on some of the things that you said, and especially that you said that you know, you found the calling, and or the seed got planted when you were doing volunteering activities at LCC. So to me, that's the question of, you know, what was LCC's role, or the time at LCC, in shaping you and in shaping your pathway. You did talk about that just a bit, but you know, if you were to reflect on your experience and at LCC, and what would you value the most, and you know, that could also be your advice to future generations of LCC.
Yeah. So I felt really blessed and grateful with the experiences that I had at LCC. I think a lot of opportunities were just available, right? You get yourself, like I remember there was only me and maybe a couple like people who would identify themselves as like Asian. So we were a few Asian students back then. And yeah, just being in this international community where everyone, like my friends, my roommates, they brought their experiences from different places. And the opportunities I mentioned was, like volunteering with the camp. I got, like I got connected with so many locals during my time at LCC, and that's how the opportunities opened up. Because if without LCC, without the locals, without other international students, I won't know that there would be this camp, and I won't be able to volunteer. And also the CMAP experiences that I had with the students, of of being an advocate, of raising awareness, because this is also what I did on a daily basis, like bringing awareness to the community. CMAP also gave me that kind of experience too, like taught me how to bring awareness, how to be a voice to the minorities. And so, yeah, those things combined, like it really helped me to find what I love doing today.
Right. No, that's a very valid comment, that the educational process is complete when you take the most out of it. And it's, as we always say, it's not just about being in the classroom, but it's also doing the things outside of the classroom, getting the hands-on experience. And that was so, yeah, visible in your life story, in your experience. So that is true. So, I mean, back then in 2004, I mean, as I was saying, you were one of the students who probably had traveled the furthest distance to get to LCC. Now the world is very different. In January, we have a group of new students joining, which will increase our total country count to 60. That will have students coming from 60 different countries. I mean, that is just unbelievable, the diversity that grows with us. But back in your days, like, coming all the way from Bangkok to Klaipeda, man, where did you get the courage? Where was the motivation? Why did you choose LCC back then? And what were your reasons, and what was the ultimate result? Were you happy about your choice?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, I just have to say, like, it's just probably God's work in my life, totally. Because like my family and even I, like, when before LCC, I did not know where Lithuania was, and my family was really shocked. They were like, where is this? Where are you going? And yeah, LCC was one of the two choices when I started applying for colleges. And the other one was in Kenya. And then my family just said, I think probably Lithuania sounds a little better. Because they didn't know anything about, Africa, and they were just really worried. But and before LCC, I never flew a plane. I was, yeah, going
Wow.
to LCC was my first time being on a plane. So I remember like my family came to drop me off at the airport, and they were making sure they were talking to the check-in counter ladies, like making sure she's safe. Because there was like connecting flights and all of those things that I had to figure out. But anyway, I made it to Klaipeda. I didn't know how it
Unbelievable.
happened. I think I had to take a bus, right? From the
Yeah.
airport, took a taxi, and then took a bus. Um, yeah, but I mean, it was worth it. The 4 years that I was there, like it had really changed me and really shaped me. And it just made me, um, the experiences that I had at LCC really made me who I am today. Um, yeah.
Hmm. Well, and I remember you were everywhere at LCC. Definitely, you were well engaged and everybody knew you, and I think like you truly made the most out of your experience, which yeah, which is what you've also reflected upon. So if assuming that we have future LCC students listening in the audience, um, if what would be your advice of why to choose LCC? And yeah, that would be, I think, the one question that I would pose, for you as a, former student, current alum, a person who knows LCC in and out. Why LCC? Why should there be LCC?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to like why LCC for me, I would say the community and the diversity. I love my international experiences with people from all around the world. Um, and it really broadened my world perspective. And without those international perspective, I really feel like I won't, you know, I won't be who I am today. Like I won't have that insight, working with my students who come from different countries. Most of my colleagues are from um, America. I won't have that like cultural adaptations. Um, yeah, it just helped me to work with people from different places just easier, because of those valuable experiences that I had with my friends that came from all around the world. And like, I'm really thankful that because of the community of how, LCC is small and everybody. And so like, I still keep in touch with people who I met back in, my college days. Like my roommates from America, I still visit them whenever I go to America. Or like I haven't been back to Klaipeda for so long, but last time I went back, I still keep contacts with people from so many years ago. And I think that's like the value of the community um, that LCC offers.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when in our early days we had the slogan advertising LCC about meet the whole world here. And back then, I think we only had students from 25 countries or something, But that truly like was the reality, and continues to be even a bigger reality now. Is like when you graduate, you have connections all over the world, and you do maintain those relationships because I mean they truly are so personal, so important.
Yeah,
And it was so nice to see you when you were back here in Klaipėda, a few years ago. So as you say, yeah, those connections do continue, absolutely.
yeah,
So one of the last questions that I would like to put for you, especially now that we're going into the Christmas season, and this is our last Coffee with Alumni webinar in 2021. But as you know, LCC is celebrating its 30th anniversary year. So yes, amazingly, LCC is 30 years old and hitting a new decade. So what would be your thoughts, your wishes for the LCC community um, as we move on into creating the next year generations of LCC?
yeah. I always have like um, believe with LCC that they will keep improving. And definitely you guys continue to grow, right? LCC continue to grow. I just want to say keep doing what you're doing, and then add a few creativities to what you're doing, because the things that you are doing is truly like amazing. I think without LCC in Klaipeda, um, you know, the world won't able to it won't be able to meet the way it does at LCC. So yeah, just keep going because you guys are really amazing.
Thank you. Definitely, LCC is amazing because of the students like you who come here, of the people, who commit their time and resources to be at LCC. So thank you for those kind words, and thank you for being available tonight. Um, the audience probably doesn't know that right now it's already after 10 p.m. in Bangkok, right? So we've kept you awake. So thank you for sacrificing this time and for reconnecting with LCC, with our audience, and for truly inspiring us all with your passion. I wish you the best at your work. I think the school and the kids are blessed to have you as their teacher. So may you be able to touch many more um, young souls through your work, and may that passion never, die in you, so that you truly are uplifted every day in your work. So thank you for sharing your passion with us. Thank you to our audience for continuing to watch our alumni webinars, in seeing the alums that we have who represent LCC and who are the products of LCC, as we claim, because it's in their success stories that we can say that's what LCC is about. And we'll be sharing more of those and listening more to those stories in 2022. But for now, I would like to wish everyone a blessed Christmas and a happy new year. And we'll meet you in January. Well, as always, on Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, we'll be resuming online and meeting different alumni from different countries and sharing their success stories and listening to what they are passionate about in their careers. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nan, for tonight. And good night for you. And enjoy the rest of the evening for everyone else. Bye.
You, bye.